you're no stranger to scoring goals for Forest in the Premier League then. So let's touch on those top three goals. Let's start off with number three then. What comes to mind?
Yeah, number three. I remember the club did a sort of top 10, and it sort of included some of the championship goals as well several years ago. But in terms of a personal choice, my third favourite goal would be Wimbledon at home in the City Ground. Everybody knows the crazy gang. It was Vinnie Jones and people like that, and they got into you. They were really John Fashanu. Their elbows would be flying everywhere. And we were a very good technical footballing team. So they came to the City Ground thinking we can kick this lot off the park, easy peasy. And it was quite a tough game. But I remember Alfing Haaland. For you younger ones, you might know his son. He's just signed for Manchester City. Alf was our right back, very good right back as well. Sometimes could play as a central defender. I think he picks the ball up by the corner flag, did a nice little trick, got out of trouble, played it to Stevie Stone. He's got no hair, but we don't care. He turns and he pings it to me on the left. Now, at that time, centre forwards played down the middle within the width of the 18-yard box. That's what you were taught, and you actually got told off for breaking off to the left or breaking off to the right or dropping deep. Now you look at Harry Kane drops off deep all the time. You look at the sort of advancement of forwards like Mo Salah, Sadio Mane. They come from the left and right and cut in and score goals. It was still quite unusual, really, for forwards to do that then. So I was on the sort of left wing in our own half. Stoney pinged the ball across, and the biggest thrill in my football career on a weekly basis was at the City Ground, because from pretty much early on in my championship season, when we got promoted, I used to like to get the ball and turn and run with it. That's what I did, and that was what probably stood me out from a lot of the other strikers at that time. So as soon as I picked the ball up in our half, all you can hear is this kind of, when seats go up, people have stood up and you can hear the whoosh of seats. And that's all. Every time I could pick the ball up at the City Ground, I'd hear seats up because people would say, he's going to do something. And I picked it up, went past a couple of players. I think I caught Hans Sagers out of by surprise. I think that Martin Tyler and Andy Gray, then the commentary team, said that Hans Sagers had been taken by surprise. But I took it past 3 or 4 players, shot from 20 yards, live on television. So that's my third favourite goal. Second one and first involved Manchester United. Why? Arguably the best team in Premier League history. Those, but certainly Sir Alex Ferguson with his 13 Premier League titles. This was the sort of first iteration of a team and a club that were going to go on and dominate the next 15 years. So it was Cantona, Kanchelskis, Keane, Ince, Bruce, Pallister, Peter Schmeichel, that still is arguably the best goalkeeper in Premier League history. And we went to Old Trafford. First time that I'd played there. My nephew, Richard, hello, Richard, who's a big Man United fan. See you next season. Demanded that I go into the Man United club shop and buy him a Manchester United shirt, which I did. I remember sitting in the press conference after with a Man United superstore bag. And I know, bizarre. Imagine that now, all the speculation that would arise from something like that. Remember walking on the pitch before the game and feeling, the skipper, Stuart Pearce, said, we come here and we win. We're playing well. We're doing well. Let's play our football. Let's express ourselves. And we absolutely played them off the park. They hadn't lost at Old Trafford. This is bearing in mind, they hadn't lost at Old Trafford for, I think, nearly a year. They would go on and dominate and win European Cups in the next 2 or 3 or 4 seasons. I scored. Again, I think Skipper picked it up midway through our half, plays it into midfield, plays it to Brian Roy, who's a little bit deeper than me. And then I find myself with 2 central defenders, goalie, and a shot, and it went in the top corner. And those, I'm sure Forest fans will remember, the older ones, that corner at Old Trafford, you get 3,000 there, which of course the younger generation are going to populate. Very exciting place to watch your football and win. Is that we beat Manchester United 2-1. in their own backyard. So that was a left footer. First goal was a right footer. And finally, the first goal, my favourite goal in the Premier League era for Forest, was again against Manchester United, but this was at the City Ground. And this again goes back to whatever happens next season, there are going to be games that are going to be lost. It's very, very difficult for teams that come into the Premier League to not lose games and sometimes to lose a spate of games. We felt that, we knew that as a newly promoted team, but you have to stay strong and have that belief in each other. And I think that with Steve, they absolutely have that. The belief is immense. Is that we played Manchester United. The first game of the season was Ipswich away. I was injured. I remember watching Match of the Day highlights and watching Brian Roy for the first time. And he scored a worldie at Ipswich. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to play with this guy. We come back to the City Ground, evening game, Sky cameras. I think Man United were in a sort of famous all-black kit that they had. And it was a 1-1 draw. It wasn't a win. But the rules had changed that season. The season before, and for the 100 years previous, central defenders, when a centre forward got the ball, they could kick you, make life difficult for you, pull you, tug you. No penalties, no fouls, no nothing. But the rules had changed to make the game a little bit more easy on the eye, to make teams that like to get the ball down and play life a bit easier. So I remember sort of flicking the ball with my head and I think lifting it over Paul Ince. And nobody came through me. I was like, my God, nobody's come and sort of bowled me over or attempted to bowl me over. And then I turned and got it onto my right foot. And as soon as I got it onto my right foot, I was about 15 yards outside the box. I knew that if I could get to the box and get a shot off, I always back myself to score. And I did. It was Peter Schmeichel, best goalkeeper in Premier League history, at his near post. And you'll see in the clip that I run over to the Forest fans and I do that. Because I was just like, my head exploded. I'd scored for Nottingham Forest against Manchester United in the Premier League live on television in my first game. So those are the 3 goals. I was lucky in my 2 years at Forest. I think that the total was 68 games played, 50 goals scored. Very, very proud to have got in a greatest 11 when the team was celebrating 150th anniversary. But for me this season, to see the club back where it belongs, back amongst the big boys, new stars, new heroes for the Trent End to be able to make their own, surpasses all of that, because Nottingham Forest Football Club, you know, a club founded 1865, county across the road, 1862, two of the oldest clubs, of course, in the world. To get them back in the top flight and to see, you know, new young players taking the club on. It's great talking about the old times, and it is, a club is only as important as its history. But to have that history and to be able to give it to some of the younger boys and say, go on, run with it. Go on, make it your time now, is a very, very exciting time to be associated with this wonderful football club. So those are my top 3. I hope they're good enough.